WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. This is the third bottle in the Brewdog Distilling Boilermaker series, which I'm surprised no one else has done a video on. Many people have done a video on the Compass Box Transistor. No one I found in any language has done a bottle on the Torpedo Tulip. I was the first one. And to be very honest, the Skeleton Key, I didn't find any videos either on YouTube or anyplace else about the blended Scotch whiskey from Duncan Taylor, which I thought was unusual. All right, so this is 46%. This is a very good price for whiskey in my personal opinion. We're running somewhere around the realms of 32 euros. And this is whiskey base number 129305, 46%. The Boilermaker series, as I mentioned before, was the Transistor, was the Torpedo Tulip together with the Skeleton Key, which is very innovative. All right, a chaser of a Compass Box I can recommend. A chaser of a peated whiskey blended Scotch, well, maybe. But a chaser of a sherried cask rye, that is pushing the limits a little bit. All of these whiskeys by themselves, without being part of the Boilermaker, whiskey chaser or whiskey bloop and then bloop, are actually very good, better than I thought they would be. All right, so if I smell this, I get a very good whiff of Islay. So Islay, yeah. So if I read the back of the bottle, it says here, unmistakably, rich Islay single malt whiskey dominates your palate with vibrant peat smoke and fresh maritime air. I couldn't read the word air, I'm sorry. Now, that's what you really get. Now, at the same time, I get something sweet. It's like, oh, that's a nice bonfire on the beach of Islay with some driftwood, but there's like, it's honey-coatedness all around this. This is a somewhat sweeter whiskey, even though it has 46%, and even though it's only 32 euros, which is a great deal for a good Islay whiskey at the moment. Have you had Scotch? I have, and I thought it was very similar to this at the beginning. This is sweeter than Scotch, but Scotch is a nice whiskey. If you can ever get your hands on it, value for money, great. So what happens is that well, let's try it and I'll tell you then. All right, Sláinte, to your health. Wait for it. Sweet. So at the very beginning, I get a sweetness. with a little bit of pineapple. And then that smoke, that Islay peat just roars in and just takes over, dominates for a moment. And then the sweetness, the honey sweetness, just kind of dominates towards the end. This is a whiskey with transitions like this. I've never had a whiskey that's had so many transitions in such an intensity. It's like a storyboard that they wrote here with whiskey. Excellent job, Duncan Taylor. All right, so it says here, the rich Islay single malt whiskey dominates your palate with vibrant peat smoke and fresh maritime air. In the aftermath, which I thought was very interestingly done, it says bold grain tames the peat fire with honeyed pineapple and vanilla. I got that before the smoke. I'm not sure if it tames the smoke. All right, while complex Speyside whiskey clears the smoke with notes of tropical fruit and burnt sugar. And that I agree. I have the grain, I have the Islay, and I have the Speyside. Now, I might have got the Speyside and the Islay a little bit confused, but I think I had the grain, I had the Islay, and then I had the Speyside is what I'm getting. Now, if you take a look at this, I kind of think that Duncan Taylor could glow in the dark under a black light. And what we also have is the Skeleton Key, as we know. So on the one side, we have actually the master distiller here from Brewdog, And on the other side, we have the Master Blender from Duncan Taylor. And I actually think they did a fabulous job with this whiskey. This is one of the better whiskeys I've had that have a Islay component in it. I am not a smokehead, peathead. I do not normally drink anything from the the island of Islay, except for maybe a good Bunabin. But this actually is wonderfully created. This is very, very nicely done. I'm going to cheat for a second, and I'm going to go to here. This is ScotchWhisky.com, and they actually reviewed this as well. And she wrote, the immediate dry smoke, I think it was a she, like peat ash in the fireplace, great the next morning. Then sea breeze, someone opened the windows with a light saline touch. There's been a storm before you get a minty toothpaste like freshness. Told you it was in the morning. Adding a cooling element. That's true, it's a little cooling actually. Things become sweeter when water is added with clams and umashu and apple. So the palate, that was all on the nose. She writes, green to start with, grass clippings, silage again, and then cattle cake. But also this lovely balancing sweetness, chestnuts mixed with vibrant virus, I have no idea what that is, and the saltine mineral element with water. There's a fatter, creamier mouthfeel and all-pervading smoke balanced with subtle complexities. The finish is salty and sweet. All right, very, very good. So, as I mentioned before, this was written by Dave Broom. It's not a her, it's a he, it's Dave, it's Mr. Broom. Oh, that was batch 205 back then from Scotch Whisky when it still happened. Now, I did not ask, or I did not add much water to this in my German video, so I'd like to do this in my English video. Now, what happens is I open the bottle in the German video. I do a lot longer time. I spend about 20-some minutes actually analyzing the whiskey and doing different things. And I talk and I digress and so on. On my German English videos, I'm a little bit more concise because I basically know what I want to say. But every once in a while, I do digress a little bit. I hope you can work with it with me. Mm-hmm. 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 Nothing has changed. The intensity has changed, and a little bit of the dial, even of the sweetness, has been turned up a little bit with adding some water. Wow, that's sweet. It's borderline sweet. I am a very sweet person. I love sweet things. I have a sweet tooth, and so this is borderline. This is actually what I like. I'm going to give this a whiskey a C plus. I'm sorry, C plus plus, C plus, and a value for money. I'm going to give a solid C. Great price for money, value for money, 30-some euros. Wow. I have no idea if this has made it to the States. Probably not. Otherwise, there would have been a lot more videos out there. I do know that it's in the UK. I do know now it's in Europe. I'm sure it's going to be in other places as well, especially since COVID has kind of killed the on-site sales. Off-site, you take it with you. On-site, you consume it on-site. The restaurants, bars, and so on. And so those things have been decimated because of COVID, and therefore we need to have more off-site sales. And they put this in there, and I can highly, highly recommend it. If you like a sweet Islay whiskey, this is going to be yours. All right, my question of the day, what was the sweetest whiskey you've ever had? This would probably be my top 10, maybe in the top 5, to be honest. The sweetest whiskey I've ever had is not Irish. It's actually Canadian. There's a J.P. Wiser's 10-year-old triple-barreled. Dr. Don Livermore made it, and it's very, very much so an European exclusive, I think, at the moment. It might have made it back to Canada, I'm not sure. But it's so dangerously sweet. I remember one evening I just had the bottle there and poured a little bit, nipped and nipped and nipped, and poured some more, nipped and nipped and nipped, and 2.5 hours later, a third of the bottle was gone. It was like, stop, no. It was just dangerously seductive. It was so good. Now, this has a little bit of that same factor in there. This could really seduce you to drink more than you originally planned on doing, because it's just such a pleasant, pleasant moment. Even now, the sweetness on the palate is still lingering around. All right, thank you very much for watching. solid C+, a value for money C. Duncan Taylor, great job of actually creating this. I have no idea how it compares to or it complements the Jet Black Heart beer, but hey, I don't drink beer anyways. WhiskyJason here. Please like, subscribe, tell others, maybe even share this video on different formats, different platforms, different social media networks, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, I don't care, whatever, Facebook. That'd be very, very kind of you. Yes, don't forget to write your comment or even comment or contact me by whiskyjason@gmail.com. All the best and see you soon. Bye-bye.